Welcome to the Frictionless Innkeeper Podcast. Coming right up, fresh tips and insights from lodging professionals aimed at helping you improve your business. Our podcast is brought to you by the Frictionless Guest App, the digital concierge that helps your guests to live like locals. Learn how at frictionlessguest.com. Mr. Steve Short, how you doing today?
Matthew, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. So the ALP 2023 Conference and Marketplace is coming up, and all things ALP right now with this particular podcast, right?
Yeah, a lot of things going on. Have been going on at ALP, and they seem to be headed in an excellent direction. And of course, the annual conference and trade show coming up at the end of February, beginning of March here is always like kind of the big event of the year. So it's great to hear about all kinds of information about, Sarah Gazi, the new CEO, and hear from everybody else about where things are headed. So excellent informational podcast for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great segue. Like I always say, into our next Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview. And as Steve mentioned, it's with Sarah Gazi, who's the new CEO of ALP. But she's also joined by Scot Fuller-Beatty, who is the co-founder, along with Laura McDowell, of a lodging consultancy called The Bold Collaboration. And he's also the board chair and former interim CEO of ALP. And of course, we have Erik Spence, who gives a complete rundown on all things 2023 ALP Conference and Marketplace. And he's their conference and events planner. And with that, we hope you enjoy this Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview. And Sarah, Scott, Erik, and Steve, how you all doing? And thanks for joining us today.
Morning.
Thanks. Glad to be. How's it going?
Excellent. Yeah, it's great to have you all. Steve, how are you doing? I don't think I heard you.
As usual, Matt, you always ask me this, and I'm doing fine as usual. I'm doing great, as a matter of fact. Thank you.
That's awesome. Love it. And with that, actually, Steve, I'm going to pass the baton to you on this one. This is a big podcast for us here.
Yes, indeed. Wow. So there's been a lot of changes to ALP since about September of last year. And so let's start off, Scott, if you would, maybe talking about some of what's been going on and the direction that everything's heading.
Yeah, sure. So, to kind of start at the beginning, we had our board of directors we started our strategic planning and thinking about the future. And we just decided to make a big change so that we could move forward faster, get the right people in the right seats, and just really start moving to grow the association and to meet our mission. I jumped into the interim CEO role from September to December. We immediately launched a search for our new CEO, which resulted in Sarah coming on board with ALP, and the staff, Erik, Lydia, and Shelley, all sort of bonded during this time to all start working together as like a really super team. Really, they're like superheroes to me because they all bonded together, and we're looking forward for ALP. And if there's anybody who has lodging professionals' hearts and mind, it is definitely those three. We immediately started the search for our new CEO. That was headed up by Peter McLaren, that committee. And we had, I believe it was over 150 applicants for the job. We narrowed it down. We had final interviews in November, face-to-face interviews. I believe each candidate went through, the finalists went through about 4 or 5 rounds of interviews over the phone, web interviews, all of that. And we invited the final 2 to Chicago. And frankly, Sarah just blew us away with her presentation to us and her knowledge about organizations, associations, and really how they should function and run. So this whole endeavor was about getting the right people in the right seats. And since then, the ALP board approved their budget, and we were able to actually hire Josie, who is now our new membership coordinator. So we now have her on board as well. So it's been quite a ride over the last 4 months. It took a big pause out of my life, but it was one of the things that will always stick with me as something that was really important and really, I felt very connected more than ever in the last, 12 years of being in the industry, more connected to lodging than ever.
Excellent. So, Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit about your background and then maybe talk about where things are headed, what the board, I guess, has kind of asked you to do or accomplish, as the new CEO, and where you think things are headed in the future here?
Sure. I have been in association management for over 20 years, and I have managed all sorts of different nonprofit associations, from bugs to transportation to nursing. And I love what I do. I love being able to help people in their own careers and professions and making their lives more full through that knowledge and education. And it's so rewarding to me to see the passion that people have for their professions and what they do every day. So in a way, I feel like a superhero every day because I'm helping people. So, I had seen a job posting for the Association of Lodging Professionals, and I was looking for a job, and it just seemed like a really cool industry. There were some similarities from some organizations that I had worked with in the past. So when I applied, fingers crossed, and then I started the interview process, and everybody was just so warm. Interviews can be nerve-wracking, but they were just so kind. And I just knew that, this was a job that I wanted. And when I got to meet everybody at the face-to-face interview, I was like, okay, these are my people. These guys are awesome. And so when I got the job, I was super excited. So coming into the position, Scot at the helm at the time was just instrumental in getting me up to speed. And it really made for a super smooth transition. And the entire team was just so welcoming. And just, I know associations, but, every association has their ways of doing things and their processes. And so everybody was just so amazing at getting me up to speed. And, I'm still learning every day, of course. And I'm just so grateful to be surrounded by such smart and kind individuals every day. So since I, took the position, there's been so much going on, and it's all really, really exciting. And I love being able to see results. I'm not a status quo kind of person. So this is definitely the right position for me because there's just so much changing, and I love being a part of it. So one of the first things that I really came on board to do was, hear what the members want. Because the members of an association are essentially the owners of the association. They are the association. So it's been really important for me to hear what the members want. And not just the members, the lodging professionals, but also the allied partners and the association leaders, and, hear what the challenges are, what role ALP can and should play in their professional lives. So I've been doing a lot of research and data gathering, and I'm starting to roll things out based on, what people are saying. And when the board meets in Phoenix the end of February, that data and research is going to be the guiding force of their strategic plan, as it should be. And so this week alone, we were doing 2 webinars because people want year-round education, and we have the knowledge and expertise within our industry to be able to do that. And so we started a webinar series. We're going to be redoing our website and making that more useful in the coming months. We are rolling out next week a mentorship program. So we're doing all these things that are really in response to what the members have indicated that they want and need. And there's going to be so much more coming. And, we got to figure out the plan in February, but it's such a cool industry. And everybody just seems really hungry to better themselves and better their businesses. That it's exciting to be a part of that and to be able to be a part of that growth and success.
So is education then, it sounds like that's one of the big focuses. And obviously the conference and trade show is kind of the big, event of the year where that's what it's all about pretty much. Are there other efforts? So it sounds like you've also you're getting other things going that maybe not had been done before. That's more throughout the year as an ongoing thing. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, we understand not everybody can go to conference, but they shouldn't be denied the education. So we want to make sure that our education is valuable, accessible, and helpful in their day-to-day lives. Education, of course, is a huge cornerstone of, who we are and what we do. But we're also focusing on other things like advocacy and, just in general, making connections and networking. I mean, the greatest resource that these members have is each other, and we want to be able to facilitate those types of connections. So that's sort of where the mentorship program comes in. So it's so many layers of things that we're going to try to do, but a lot of it does stem from education, but there's so many other pieces to the puzzle, advocacy, leadership, and just everyday operations.
And I believe, maybe Scott can talk more to this, but I believe membership has been kind of more of a focus recently, and those numbers are looking a lot more positive, right? Haven't things gone up quite a bit?
Yeah, we've had several hundred members either join ALP or have renewed a lapsed memberships that were sometimes lapsed for anywhere from several months to several years, actually. So we've been able to bring in more people to the association. We've been able to bring in a lot more aspiring lodging professionals. There is a huge interest right now. And, one of the big shifts that I see is the record number of sales that happened, through COVID and at the end of COVID. I think we're going through a great change in our industry where there's almost like older, more mature people in our industry are getting to the point where they want to retire or early retire. I know I want to early retire at some point, but there's a big change right now. There's a lot of sales happening of properties. And interestingly, it's actually a much younger generation. And I'm talking even like younger than me. Like I'm 41 or 42. I can't remember right now, but it's a little early in the morning. But I bought my inn when I was 29 years old. And we're now seeing more and more of that. I remember the first conference I went to, I was the youngest person there, like by far. But now seeing the new members that are coming in, I mean, we have people coming in their early 30s, coming in and purchasing properties and starting to run their own business. Maybe it's their first business that they've ever run. Maybe they had this great job and they left it because they wanted to pursue the lifestyle. And it's just really exciting to see that. And I also love what Sarah had said about the networking part of it, because one of the things about our industry that I don't think that gets talked enough about is that it's actually a pretty lonely profession because you're so focused on your property, on your guests. Maybe you don't have great relationships with your competitors that are in your local area. I was very lucky in Portland, Maine, where, at the time, with all the people in place who owned all the inns, we were all really, really friendly and supportive of each other. But the fact is that they still are your competitors at the same time. So maybe you don't have friend relations, or maybe you're the only inn in town. You're the only independent lodging place in town, and you're just, and maybe you're remote. It can be a really lonely profession, and you can get really kind of just focused on your own stuff. However, the amazing thing about our community is that, no one went to college to become an innkeeper or, for the most case, like a small hotel owner or boutique owner or something like that. So we all come to this industry with all these amazing skills. We have people that were lawyers. We have people who are doctors. We literally have a NASA scientist who is a member of ALP. You have people who were school teachers. You have people who were trash collectors, actually, all in our industry. And we all come together with this knowledge from all these other industries. And it's great when we're able to network, when we're able to get together and share those experiences, because we are coming at this particular business model from so many different angles. And it's great to also just kind of kvetch with your friends when, you're having a rough day. So yeah, the community part of it, I think, is the huge part. And it's an area that I really want to see ALP grow in, because we have so much to share with each other, and you don't have to do it on your own. There's thousands of people who want to back you up in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to throw in, Sarah?
Ooh, I will be talking more about things that are coming in Phoenix. So hopefully everybody stops and says hello to me when they see me in Phoenix. But yeah, there's going to be a lot coming, and I can't wait to see what it is and announce it to everybody.
Well, mentioning Phoenix, as Matt would say, that's a great segue. Right, Matt? You haven't talked at all.
No,
Were you thinking
it's
that?
so funny. I was totally thinking that, Steve. Yes, this is what, like, maybe our 55th podcast. So Steve and I have like a mind meld going on these days. Yeah.
Which is scary.
Yes.
So
indeed.
let's talk about the conference, because it's not that far away. We're only about, well, Erik probably knows exactly how many days and hours and all of that. So
he knows the minutes. He knows the seconds.
and minutes, right? So Erik, you want to start talking about the conference, date, the logistics first, and then maybe get into some of the highlights and what you're looking forward to and what everybody else should be looking forward to and why they should come if they're not already signed up to do so?
Absolutely. Well, it's official because I just purchased my plane ticket last night. So I am coming. I am going myself. But yes, the conference is less than one calendar month away. We started up on February 25th, Saturday, February 25th, with our aspiring owners conference and our new owners conference. And as Scott mentioned earlier, the transition of ownership that we saw through COVID, COVID was twofold. It kind of helped our business in this transition of new owners, because during COVID, during the shutdown phase of it, at least, those that were at that age to say, you know what, this is my time. I'm not in a position after 15, 20 years to push through this. Now's the time. And they sold out. Now, I think we're starting to see phase two of that, because during COVID, when we started opening up, our industry, independent lodging, went gangbusters compared to the big city hotels and those urban destinations, because they were still shut down and people on the urban destinations wanted to still get away. And there's only one place left, and that's that small independent lodging sector. So there were many owners that did gangbusters in that second half of COVID as things started opening up. And they're walking out of COVID now with this cash cow going, my timeline of retirement just moved up 4 years. I'm done. I'm getting out. And now it gave that opportunity. So there is this big shift of ownership going on. And that's where these early conferences come into play, because the aspiring conference is going to help guide those who want to get into business, but don't know how to look for a property, don't know how to value a property, don't know what they're getting into, because it is a business that is more than just, I have a great muffin recipe and I want to make muffins for people in the morning and say hello. This is far from that, but that's where this aspiring conference will guide them. And for the cost of it, it's way less than 1% of what they are looking to purchase. So it really is an investment to learn it before you get into it. And for the new owners conference, this is going to help those that did just pick up this property in the 0 to 18 month range, let's say, because there are so many facets of the property that you can't change until you own it. Websites, booking engines, marketing schemes, the name of the place, the recipes, the even down to the pillowcases. There's nothing you can do until you have the keys. Once you have the keys, they're usually focused for that first year on just operations. I got to keep these new people that I'm meeting for the first time. I've got to let them know who I am and keep them happy. But then they break out of that. Then it's time to maybe rebrand and make the place the feel of their own and how they envision their business to run. And we want to help guide them all on that way, because there are definitely steps that need to be taken in a specific chronological order, or else you're going to take 2 steps forward and 10 steps backwards to try to correct the mistakes you made along the way. So if you've owned something within a year and a half, this is definitely the conference you should go to, is that Saturday, Sunday new owners conference. And then on Monday, we start up our main conference. The main conference is going to be for those, more experienced, more on the intermediate to advanced levels that wouldn't fit, into the first few categories. Now, we do have many of the aspiring and the new owners stick it all the way through the main conference. They make a week out of it. They take all 5 days in, and they leave with so much information and so much knowledge and so many plans to make over the next few months that we just hear great things. They thank us for, I don't want to say coercing them to come, but convincing them that this is the right move for their business. And it really, really helps them out in the long run. The main conference, we planned this with our education committee. We planned it on, again, going back to the membership. What did they want to learn? And not only what they want to learn, but at what level they want to learn it. Do they want to learn it at a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced level? And what we had found is a mix of it. And we found a pattern with 5 different subject matters that they wanted to learn from beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So we created a schedule that they can go to all 5 of these sessions without having to overlap each other and get a beginner, intermediate, and advanced education on 5 key topics that are going to elevate their business and increase their profits and increase the number of bookings they get. So it's pretty exciting. And then we mix all the fun in there. It's not just business. I mean, we can't just all worry about the education. There's networking. There's fun involved. We have an offsite dinner that we have planned. We'll bring in the motor coaches and truck everybody across town. And we have some great receptions lined up on Sunday night when everybody comes into town. So it's an all-out event. And the big thing, I've been stressing it from day one, investments are expenses that grow your business. A cost is an expense that just keeps your doors open. And this is truly an investment in your business. This is not a cost to go to a conference. It's an investment.
Yeah. And do you want to talk at all about, there's definitely the educational side. There's kind of the interactive, social sort of side. There's also, of course, can't forget the vendors, right? There's the trade show part of this where they can get exposed, whether they're aspiring, new, or, kind of intermediate advanced. They can see what's going on, what offerings are out there. So it's a whole kind of mix. There's always a keynote and some other things going on as, we kind of gather at the beginning of each day or whatever. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the keynote folks that are going to be there?
Well, our keynote is Alan Berg. He's famous from the wedding industry, and he's earned recognition all over the world and accolades all over the world for his presentations. He's going to be taking our keynote in an awesome direction this year. We don't want to go through the same marketing and how to answer a telephone type of keynote. We're having a keynote that's going to set the pace for the remainder of the conference. And that theme is basically, why do we do what we do? What gets us out of bed in the morning? And overwhelmingly, it's the love of the business. It's what motivates us. And it's going to be a great motivational keynote versus statistics and how many properties across the country have ensuite bathrooms. We're going in a direction that's going to motivate everybody to go to these sessions, to go into that marketplace. And we'll get to that in a second, and really learn and absorb as much as they can out of the 3 to 5 days that they're there. With that marketplace, we have nearly 6 exhibitors that'll be there, filling up a beautifully renovated ballroom. And that's another great topic we'll talk about the Sheraton. But the marketplace is going to be filled with product exhibitors, service exhibitors, consultants, brokers, insurance agents. Anything that involves you and your business and your guests will be in that marketplace. And it's great to go in with open eyes. Definitely do some planning ahead, because a lot of these exhibitors do offer what they call show specials. And knowing what you want in advance is going to be crucial, because if you need more bedding, if you need more amenities in your guest rooms, now's the time to get those lists together, because these awesome allied partner exhibitors are looking for that. They want to help you out. They want to get their products in your guests' hands. Our consultants want to see your businesses grow. Our brokers and real estate agents, they want to start establishing connections with innkeepers and property owners now, because if they're looking at an exit strategy, that's a 4 to 5 year process. That's not just, hey, I'm thinking about selling the place. And they want to help guide you through that process. Website designers, marketing agencies, digital marketing agencies, they're all there. So the list is on our website. All of our sponsors, all of our exhibitors are at alplodging.com. As soon as you go to alplodging.com, there's going to be fire and the Phoenix logo right on the front page. All you got to do is click it and they'll take you right to the conference page. So there's a lot moving parts, and it's going to be a blowout to see.
Yeah. And I wanted to throw in there, going back to your education that you were talking about. And I'm glad you went through the process of how the education committee, kind of some of the nuts and bolts of what they worked on. But one of the other things that was a big part of that process too was figuring out what it is that you don't know you need to know. So there was a lot of brainstorming, and a specific number of sessions were set aside, a good chunk of sessions that were not necessarily membership driven, but things that are on the horizon. I like to think of, part of a board's role is to be the visionaries for the association, not necessarily in the day-to-day nuts and bolts of the operations. But I'm really glad that they took that, idea of looking ahead to the future. What is on the horizon that you should at least be aware of? Not necessarily jump right into it, but be aware of and keep an eye on that could ultimately change your business. I'll use one example. 5 years ago, we never talked about texting with guests. I don't think it was very rare. And now it's like the thing to be doing. And the industry has pushed itself so far. Another great thing about the marketplace is that's actually a great place to be able to say, what are your needs? What do you need to do? How do you need, especially when it comes to software that you're using or cloud, everything's on the cloud now, is what are the tools you need to be able to do? How can you improve their product? So this is not just a valuable experience for our lodging members. It's a really valuable experience for our allied partners as well, as an opportunity to really get in front of their customers or their potential customers and hear what they need to do to be better, for them to also stay relevant. So it works both ways here. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely as a vendor, allied partner participant. So logistics, dates, and then I want to ask a little bit about the Sheraton, and I think there's some room rate discounts that need to be used quickly, or, you're going to have to sign up quickly if you do that. So I guess everything kicks off with Aspiring, a new kind of weekend thing on Saturday, February 26th, I think. Is that right?
25th.
25th, sorry.
25th is the start of the Aspiring and the new owners. And then the main conference starts up on Monday, the 27th. And then we go all the way through till Wednesday, March 1st, all the way through till 5:00. We have sessions, and part of the sessions that we have on that Wednesday are, again, in response to what the members want. They want more panels. They want to see more peer-led sessions. And this is bringing their peers with a microphone in hand to share their knowledge about how and what steps they took to become successful. And I would really highly encourage anyone coming, not try to book a flight that's going to get them out of there at 1:00 on Wednesday, but rather stay through Wednesday, head out refreshed on Thursday morning, because there is still, even after lunch is over, there's still almost a dozen sessions after lunch on Wednesday that we still have available. So it's not something to just leave. Take it all in. It really is going to be amazing. As far as the Sheraton goes and what's going on in Phoenix, I guess probably the biggest thing right now is the Cactus League. If you're a baseball fan, Lydia from our marketing team counted them down. There's 55 baseball games in that 5-day period that we're in Phoenix. So if you're a baseball fan and you want to catch a baseball game, absolutely, after the conference is over, come into town early, stay a little late, pick up a game and watch some of your teams. But the Sheraton Phoenix, we all kind of remember the Sheraton from 70s and 80s and even 90s.
Right.
The business traveler hub kind of theme. You can picture it in your mind. But I'll tell you what, that is completely blown out of the water. The Sheraton Phoenix downtown is now the flagship, if you will, of the Sheraton brand when it comes to meetings and meeting destinations. They gutted the place, frankly. Their guest rooms have been completely gutted and refurbished and modernized. The guest rooms have the desks that you can sit at a desk, or if you're the kind now that works at a standing desk, these desks are raise and lower kind of desks. They pride themselves. You can't walk, I think, more than like 15 feet without finding a USB port to plug your phone into. They have over 14,000 USB ports in the hotel.
Have you counted them all?
That's the challenge. That'll be on the mobile
scavenger
app.
Hunt.
It will be. It'll be on the mobile app. We'll run around there and everybody will have to count them, see who comes closest. If you like going on these bleisure trips and not giving up your workout routine, for instance, and I've talked to many attendees that, they've actually asked, is there a place for me to continue my morning routine of workout? They have a fitness center that would put a Gold's Gym machine. I think it was $850,000 gym renovation workout space that they put into this hotel. Outdoor pool that's easily used for laps in the sunshine of Arizona, warm Arizona, 70 degrees, 80 degrees. It's going to be nice. So it's really a dynamic. And then they renovated all their meeting space this past August. So it'll have the new car smell walking into the place. It's really something to see.
Top-notch destination.
It is.
And everything's right there, right? So you stay in the hotel, you walk down, you do the conference and all of that in one place. Yeah.
Just hop down the elevator and you're in. You don't have to walk outside and through rain it's Phoenix. You're never going to get rain there. But
one of the things that we're doing, Steve, is Erik and I are, one of our upcoming ALP webinars is going to be the conference survival kit. Since we have so many new people that are coming to the conference for the first time, there's a lot of questions. Everything from what should I expect in sessions to even what should I wear to the conference. So we have put together a great panel. Linda Hayes, Amy Smith, Monica Edwards, and Erik and I. We're doing that on February 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we'll soon have the sign up out for that webinar. But that will be a great additional webinar for people who've never come to conference before to really get an idea of what to expect. And what are some of the best practices? Like, what should you be doing during that vendor time, to get those conversations going and stuff like that. So we're excited about that.
That's a great idea, I think. Excellent.
Yeah, we're taking a lot of effort into planning pre, during, and post-conference. We're doing this survival kit before the conference. During the conference, Linda Hayes is pairing up with Carol Edmondson. And those two are doing one of those 3-part sessions that is focusing on not so much on the business, but on the person and organizing your own life that you can make that work personal life balance work for you in favor. Because, COVID taught us one thing, and that's staffing shortages. And many owners had trouble because they were thrown into that position of they're the owners operators now. And they went into it, some of them without a real balance in their life. And this is going to help them along the way during the conference to be able to set that time aside when they get back for themselves, which is going to help them when they actually are on duty for their business. But then even post-conference, a month after the conference, Lisa Kolb is going to be running a webinar for us that is going to allow people then, you come back from conference, you have a notebook full of jot down, what am I doing? Lisa's putting on a webinar for us that's going to help people organize how to set up those strategies, how to take all those takeaways and nuggets you picked up at the conference and put them in an order that you're going to be able to set some goals and establish a kind of a project management guideline for you to execute what you learned at the conference. So we're not just giving you this and saying, good luck. This is going to be something we're going to guide you and have people there to help guide you to how to get the material, how to take the notes during it, and how to execute it when you're done.
I think that's another great idea. Definitely. You got to take something out of it and run with it, and kind of, it becomes more of a habit sort of a thing. So it sounds like the personal productivity idea. Maybe I need to run out and see that session with Linda Hayes or whomever, or Lisa Kolb or whomever. Yeah, cool. Okay. And I guess just to wrap up, what is the costs for not the allied partners, but people attending?
People attending, it's $7.99. It's for members. That's the member price. Non-member price is $8.99. And a guest coming is $50 less. So it would be $7.49 for members and $8.49 for non-members. And with that, bring as many guests as you want, whether it's a spouse, whether it is, we have some properties that will bring their management team. Maybe they'll bring somebody that's up and coming. Maybe they're at a supervisor role, but they want to bring them on board in a much higher manner and give them the opportunity to see what goes on at these conferences and make them a little bit more free thinking while they're at work. Give them a little bit more space to make their own moves. So definitely bring more if you'd like to. There's more than enough. We have 3 concurrent sessions running. So they divide and conquer. Everybody scatters and goes to different sessions, and then they all come back together on their property later and say, what did you learn? Because I learned this. And it makes a lot of sense. So it's $7.99 for the aspiring conference. It's $7.99 for the new owners conference, and it's $7.99 for the main conference. If you're a new or aspiring attendee and you want to stick those other 2 days out on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's only $300 more. So you can get the whole package for just over $1,000 for 5 days of education, 5 days of networking, 3 days of marketplace, great food, great people, a lot of fun. And again, this is only a fraction. For most properties, this amounts to adding maybe 1 to 2 room nights per month to cover the cost of coming to a conference or the investment of coming to a conference. So it's not huge. And frankly, if you don't pick up 1 or 2 room nights from what you learned at the conference, you probably weren't paying attention to begin with.
Yeah. And then also, there's for the Sheraton, are there still available rooms at the lower rate?
There are. The room rates right now is $239. Our room block does go down on February 2nd for premium rooms at $239. So if you're coming, get your room rates in or get your bookings in. You can book your room online now, at least lock that in, and then come back later and get your registration process set up. But get your rooms booked as soon as you can. Rates right now for transient travelers, once the room block fills up, which we expect it to, are going to be over $500 a night. So that just shows you the quality of the hotel we're going to. We booked this 2.5 years ago, I think it was. So they didn't know what they were getting into. They didn't know what they were going to be able to charge. And that's a great deal right now when you can get a $500 room night for only $239.
Yeah, definitely. Great. Okay. And we'll try to include links on all of our posts, the podcast post, as well as anything else that we post about this. So excellent. Matt, you want to reel me in and get us out of here?
Yeah, I think we're just about at that point. This is a wonderful podcast. What I'll do is I'll just go around the horn here and see if there's any parting shots from everybody. And maybe we'll start with Sarah. Sarah, any final thoughts?
Oh, I just want to thank everybody for being so welcoming to me. As the new kid, it's not easy to enter a new industry, a new association, and I did good. I picked a good one, and I hope they picked a good one. But I'm just so happy to be here.
Excellent.
Awesome. Scott, any parting shots?
Yeah, I just listening to Erik speak, I'm thinking back to when I was, a brand new innkeeper, and frankly, 2 years in, I thought I knew it all. I was going gangbusters with my business. And then I went to my first conference and realized how I was doing everything wrong. And I really attribute a lot of my success with my property with what I have learned at conferences. It is, what Erik said, the investment it's not an expense, it's an investment in your business. And you'll get that money back, tenfold, easy, if you just apply a couple things each year that you learn. You don't have to reinvent your entire business, but you're going to put little things in place, and year after year after year, you see how that is something that is really profitable for you and puts you on a real path of success. And I'm just so grateful that I finally did do a conference, 2 years in, and was, at least humble enough to say, you don't know it all. So it really opened up my eyes, and I love to see that experience for other people as well. So yeah, that's my closing thoughts.
Awesome. Erik, we're on to you.
All right. I'll wrap up. I hope we get to see as many people as we can in Phoenix. And I understand if the business is not allowing some folks to get away, because we still are in a great situation, a fortunate situation that they are staying busy and they just can't get away. But fortunately, the direction that ALP is moving, we had enough confidence that we ended up already booking our 2024 location. Actually, at the same time, we booked Phoenix. So we already know where we're going next year too. So if you can't make it this year, by all means, there's going to be some incredible stuff happening in 2024. Put it on your calendars now for the first week of March of 2024. I'll be announcing where that's going to be going in Phoenix. Another dynamite location. There's going to be some great things, some really unique things happening at that conference that I think that one's going to be a blowout as well. I'll get into it at the conference. I'll just leave it at that. But do what you can. Get to Phoenix. Grow your business over this next year. If you can't make it, by all means, make plans to be with us next year. Become a member of ALP if you can't make the conference, because we're really ramping up our education throughout the year. And our webinars and our weekly newsletters and our bi-monthly magazine, it's just chock full of information for the association.
Great.
Excellent. Awesome. Steve, I'm going to let you have a parting shot.
Well, I would just say my experience, our first one was 2019. And of course, you had COVID. So 2021 was the virtual thing. Got back to it in Baltimore, close to where I live last year. But all of the conferences I've been to have been phenomenal. I mean, in terms of just the events as far as, and I've taken in some of the educational stuff, even though, we're a provider, we have an offering, but yeah, it's been great. And I would just say overall, just the people side of things, everybody, just seems to mesh and have a good time. It's just, it really is, I guess, like Sarah was saying, it really is a cool industry in terms of the people that are a part of it. And until you go, you don't really understand that.
All right, perfect. I'm going to take us out then. And this concludes this Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview with Sarah Gazi, who is the new CEO of ALP. She was joined by Scot Fuller-Beatty, who is the co-founder, along with Laura McDowell, of a lodging consultancy called The Bold Collaboration. He's also the board chair and former interim CEO of ALP. And of course, we had Erik Spence, who is the conference and events planner at ALP. And all three of these executives were kind enough to share their current insights on the current and future focus of ALP, as well as cover all things about the upcoming 2023 ALP Conference and Marketplace. And our podcast is brought to you by the Frictionless Guest App, the digital concierge that helps your guests to live like local. Learn how at frictionlessguest.com. And Sarah, Scot, Erik, and Steve, thank you so much for your time today.
It was
Thank you very much, Matt.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.